Today on the Fresh Run Club, is the Nike ZoomX Invincible 2 actually bigger than the original Nike ZoomX Invincible? Let's find out. Welcome back to the Fresh Run Clubs. For today's video, I'm answering a question that I've seen asked a couple times in the comments of a few of my videos about the Nike ZoomX Invincible 2. And that question is the Nike ZoomX Invincible 2 actually a little bit bigger than the original ZoomX Invincible? So I don't typically get into things like measuring the exact length down to the millimeter or the stack height or the weight or the foam density. Really, my videos are more about is the shoe comfortable? Is it a good shoe if you're running 9-minute mile pace for 6 miles? I want to keep it very high level, very easy to understand, very simple. One thing I will say, there's always going to be a difference between a brand new pair of shoes and a pair of shoes that you've been running in for a long time. Just by nature of running in shoes, you might stretch them out a little bit. Your stride and the way your foot hits the ground is going to kind of change the shape of the shoe. If you run in the rain a little bit and I don't know, you put a fan on the shoes, they might shrink a little bit also. So just something to keep in mind, a shoe that has mileage on it is always going to be a little bit different than a shoe that is brand new out of the box. Excuse you. So with that in mind, I wanted to do a fair comparison. So I have an original pair of the Nike ZoomX Invincibles, and this has about 190 or so miles on it, and then a pair of the ZoomX Invincible 2s, and this has just over 200 miles on it. So I think it's kind of a fair comparison. I've been running in these quite a bit. So I'm just going to take a simple measurement. I'm going to start from the top of the toe and then measure to the edge of the rubber. So basically measuring the length of the outsole rubber. So we're going to measure this in centimeters. A little bit of bend to it. So with the original ZoomX Invincible, we are looking at about 35.7 centimeters from front to back. Let's try the well-used ZoomX Invincible 2. Make sure I clip that right. So we are looking at, well, it looks like it's slightly bigger. It is about 35.8 centimeters. So the ZoomX Invincible 2 is about 1/10 of a centimeter longer. I do want to measure from side to side. So I'm a heel striker, so I really do care about the width of the heel since it is an important part of the stability of the shoe for me. So I'm going to measure here all the way across. Starting there, we are looking at about 10.5 centimeters for the original ZoomX Invincible, and then the ZoomX Invincible 2, starting at that little notch. Yeah, it's about 10.6 centimeters for the ZoomX Invincible 2. So based on these measurements of two shoes that I've run just about 200 miles in, I would say the ZoomX Invincible 2 is slightly larger than the original ZoomX Invincible. Now, is 1/10 of a centimeter enough to consider the ZoomX Invincible 2 a bigger shoe? That I don't quite know. Now, one thing to keep in mind, the upper is a little bit different for the ZoomX Invincible 2. They took out some padding from the original, reduced it down a little bit in the ZoomX Invincible 2, so that could account for some of the extra room that you might feel. So all in all, technically the ZoomX Invincible 2 is slightly bigger than the original version. However, I think 1/10 of a centimeter is kind of in that margin for error, depending on how you use the shoe and the type of workouts and just kind of how it breaks down. Slightly bigger, but I don't know if it's noticeable enough. I think the biggest thing is probably going to be there's less padding on the inside of the ZoomX Invincible 2 that you get with the original. For me, that probably accounts for some of the roominess. I didn't particularly notice a huge difference. I know a lot of people have, but after we take out our highly scientific tape measurer and give it a measurement, it looks like the ZoomX Invincible 2 is slightly bigger, but not by much. So hopefully that answers the question. I'd say they're about the same, just with maybe a little bit different material that's going to give it a little bit of a different feel. I said that this felt more comfortable on the inside than the original one, but really I cannot tell much of a difference between the ZoomX Invincible 2 and the original ZoomX Invincible. So that is today's video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you soon.